In the wake of Charlie Kirk's tragic assassination, I just wanted to talk to you. I think we've seen some of the worst of human nature and also some of the best. But it's one of the first times I'm actually starting to worry a little bit about technology and the future based on what I've seen these past few days. So this is not a political video. It's about how social media and to some extent AI actually impact the way we act, and I think dehumanizes us quite a lot. And I think it's a heavy one to talk about for me. I've been very involved with social media the last 12 years, being a country head of Facebook, and worked very closely with YouTube and Snapchat and TikTok. So what I find so difficult is I love these platforms, but they're also partly to blame for what is happening. And AI has also, I think, played its role of fake news and amplifying this strategy. So I'm not going to talk so much about the actual assassination, as tragic as that is. Unfortunately, it can happen. I think that's more about security. I want to address the way people have reacted and maybe why they have reacted how they have, and why we're seeing this polarization in society, and what role I believe that social media and AI are playing in it, and a little bit about what I think we can do going forward. But it's a complicated one. Let's talk a little bit about what actually happened, right? So Kirk was assassinated. Quite quickly, we saw these horrible videos of people celebrating his death. I mean, I don't even have words for that. We can see some of them here.
There are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot. Oh,
well, breaking news, folks. Seems somebody just took a shot at one of the Fantafast's favorite 5-mile wide mouthpieces, Charles Chuckle Kirk.
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed. How do you feel?
Happy. Goodbye.
Wow. Did you see that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
That's good.
Wow. That's good. That's good that people are getting shot just off a political view?
Charlie Kirk gets shot and killed today. We're just getting people's opinions. How do you feel about that?
Girl, someone had to do it. And that's how I feel at this point in time. But
I appreciate your honesty. I truly do. So you said someone had to do it.
Yes.
Try not to get all pulled up into that, but he was a misogynist. He was a disgusting person with disgusting beliefs.
That is worrying, but it's also, in my opinion, both extreme and quite sick people who would do something like that. The second wave came when I actually saw feeds of comments where people would say things like, more or less like he had it coming, he was a fascist, he was a racist, he was a misogynist, he was a white supremacist, lots of bad words. And on the other side, you had people who were saying, he's an absolute hero, he's a martyr, and unfortunately, somebody said, we have to respond with violence and a lot of dirt throwing, where people blame either the left or the right. I mean, just to be, very clear, I don't want to be political here, but I want to clarify that I'm probably somewhere in between the Republican Party and Democrat Party if I could vote in the US, which I can't. So this is not, my opinion is not skewed by a very, clear right-wing or left-wing opinion. So this is much more about human decency and how we can move forward. And I think Kurt is just an example of that. We could do the same video about somebody acting disrespectful to people on the left. So please consider that when you make your comments. So let's talk about the problem and why this might be happening, why we so polarized. So the way the algorithm generally works is you need to catch people's attention in the very beginning. And quite often when you exaggerate, if you write something quite nasty like Charlie Kirk destroys transgender person, or transgender person humiliates Kirk, or stuff like that, or even say, like the racist comments, like, certain people of color are less qualified or something like that, it will give you more attention. It will give you the click. It will give you the view. The algorithm, because it wants you to stay on the platform, it often acts as an echo chamber. So basically, it gives you more of what you want to see, right? And this is one of the sad parts. So I think human nature likes to be confirmed in what they believe, right? So, for example, if you are concerned about immigration, there's a good chance that your feed will be filled with burning streets and immigrants hitting innocent people. If you are pro-immigration, you will probably not see that. You will probably see more right-wing people accusing immigrants of all sorts of things, right? And the same goes with Kirk, right? If you are against Kirk, you will see some of the most extreme things he's said, and you will probably become angry, right? You might have seen that he has said something like that he condoned violence on Pelosi's husband. We'll get back to that. He actually didn't, but in a quote, it seemed like he did. The same as like some of his views on the Second Amendment. They are also positioned in a very extreme way, and also his many times mentioned that some people of color are not qualified, when again his message, when you actually hear it, is a lot more nuanced. So the echo chamber will continue to grind and grind. The more the platforms understand what you think and what you appreciate, the more they will show you that, and the more set you will be that your current position is the right one, and you will be less interested in the nuances and the other side. So one of the trends, we've seen how popular short form has become. We see it with YouTube Shorts. It's a major play for them. We see it, of course, with Reels on Instagram and videos on Facebook and TikTok, right? And again, right, there's 30 seconds to communicate. And obviously, the more extreme it is, the more views it is going to get. And that is sad, and that will promote hate, right? And I think this is part of the blame for why we get so many people who are labeling Kirk one way or the other, labeling him racist or fascist, for example. Now, how can AI play a role here? So one, we can do some fact checking. I've seen quite a number of posts and tweets from people who turn out to be fake tweets. So, Donald Trump, he does say a lot of quite outrageous things, but the most outrageous tweets he has actually never written himself. They're fabricated. The same goes for Kirk. So, fact check, is it true? The second thing is fact check the context. So, for example, I mentioned the attack on Pelosi's husband with a hammer. Kirk, he said it was a terrible thing. The thing he said that was misunderstood is he said that a patriot should post bail on the person who did it so we can ask him questions. He didn't in any way condone the attack, yet he's being blamed for that. And the list goes on and on and on. And we could discuss at length, is Kirk racist? He has said things definitely that out of context is pure racism. When you then get the context and understand what it is, I think it doesn't qualify as racism. At least that's my opinion. Now, he has many black supporters, and friends, and you can also see in the long form that he has a great deal of respect for people who choose a different lifestyle, like homosexuality, that he doesn't agree with. So my opinion from seeing like 20 hours now of long form of Kirk, I did this not because I'm a fan, I disagree with him on most points, but I did it out of curiosity and to some extent respect, to understand whether I would go against people labeling him these things. And my conclusion is, I don't think the labels are quite fair, but I would understand how people would come to conclude these labels based on the short form content and based on headlines and based on quotes. This is where we have the problem, right? So AI is helping getting us to the bottom of things, but it takes time, right? Who else has spent 20 hours of their life actually wanting a nuanced picture on this? You cannot do it on every topic, right? AI is very good at debunking rumors or fake content. It is less good at doing a judgment call. For example, if you try to ask, is Charlie Kirk a racist to AI, you get an answer depending on how you ask the question, but also if you set up boundaries and rules around how AI should do research on finding the right evaluation. So let's take racism as an example. And you ask, can you prove to me that Charlie Kirk is a racist? Then AI will prove to you that he is. It will find different quotes, both what he said, what he didn't say, and also quotes out of context, and it will label him a racist. If you ask AI to debunk that he's a racist, it will do that as well. If you ask it to do deep research on whether he's a racist or not, it might also label him as a racist because it will simply find a large volume of quotes that could be interpreted as racism. If you set up other rules, like saying you can only use things where he is the source, things that he has said, you can only use things that are not out of context, it becomes a lot more difficult. You actually need to kind of feed the AI with all transcripts of everything he's ever said on YouTube, and I think it's difficult for AI to come with the conclusion. Pretty much, it seems to me the more I feed it, the more it would say, if I look at the balance, he's not a racist. But again, another person might come to another conclusion and ask the questions a little bit different than AI, and he would then solidify his opinion that it is okay to give him that label. So if you agree with me that these tendencies are worrying and it's not the kind of future we want with a lot of hate and polarization, then what can we do? And I thought a bit about it. I mean, one option is to adjust algorithms, maybe make some rules around them, regulation. So anybody who knows me and knows what I think knows I hate too much regulation. But this may be one of those things where we should consider it to kind of counter that human nature of just wanting to be reaffirmed in your own opinions. So maybe we need to shake up the feed a little bit to challenge people, give them a bigger perspective. But I also think there's just a value bit, an education bit that we need to take responsibility for ourselves. I can't say what you should do. I can only say what I do. So I've decided that some of the persons I probably disagree with most, I want to know more about them. I want to see the person, not just the quotes that I got annoyed with. And I mean, I can come up with an example. So I'm not, if we talk American politics, just to be transparent, I'm not crazy about AOC. I don't like the way she communicates, and I don't like a lot of what she says, right? So I could easily let that assumption grow very easily, and she could become the next president of the United States. Who knows? Hating her or letting that small hate grow is just not healthy for anyone. So for example, with her, I wanna watch more long form content and understand the nuance of her person and what she actually thinks, rather than just the short form. And I want to research more on AI. I want to ask more questions. I want to question my own assumptions much more. And I think if you're about to write something hateful or negative, maybe you should have some checks and balances. I think that's healthy. I'll try and do it in the future. So I think, if you want to label somebody with something really nasty, try to have AI challenge you. Is it a fair label? Could I formulate this in a less hateful way? I think that helps. I mean, I've had arguments with people here on social media, and then when we had a little bit more time to talk, when I say talk, I mean right back and forth, it actually turned out we were not that much in disagreement. But it's also about the media, right? It's so costless to be a little bit rough in the comment section. If you called the person up, it would probably be a much nicer conversation. So let's try and think about it. Let's try and treat social media the way you would treat people if you were sitting in front of them. But let me know what you think. This is, of course, complex, but it's such an important part of the way we shape our future.